Hey yo, what's the deal? Welcome to a Cincy fan talking with LP, and once again, it's your boy LP. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Definitely appreciate the what do you call it? The piped in studio audience. It make me feel like I'm living a real 80s sitcom life out here, cause that's what it is. But nah, man, it's a Cincy fan talking with LP, and of course, this is your boy LP. Happy Black History Month. Just just be an ally. Like I've said this a lot. Usually every Black History Month, I'm hitting y'all with the PSA, and I'm usually super militant with the black fist up. Like, don't put me on your list if you only want me to be on your list because it's Black History Month, this, that, and the third. And I'm slowing down on that because I feel like it's a lot of people out there, and they're just trying to be down for the cause, and they don't really know how, and they feel like that's their thing. So I see a lot of people going like, for this Black History Month, I'm showcasing only black content creators. And they used to irritate my soul. Like, where y'all at the 11 months of the year other than February? But I gotta chill out because it's a lot of people that's just out there. They trying to show love. So I appreciate that. What I would simply say is just be an ally. S- support us when we're not around. And I mean, like, when you're in your circles with your other peoples and they start talking reckless, check them. Let them know, like, no, you don't talk like that. I don't care if there are no black people around. Like, I need you to respect. I need you to respect everyone. And it doesn't matter if it's Black History Month or Latino History Month, or just make sure you're respecting everybody. And if you can do that, you're an ally in my book. So that's what I want more than anything. Like I said, like usually I'm like extra militant about it, but I gotta slow down because I don't think that tone is, first off, it's not really needed, and for two, I just feel like it was turning some people off that was like, I really wanna support, but I don't know how. And instead of me being like, don't do this, don't do this, I'll tell you what to do. You know, it's good that you pump up black creators, and that's awesome. I can't hate on that. Just make sure you do that 24/7, 365. That's all we can ask because, like I always tell my kids at home, my kids in my classroom, you're really judged on what you do when nobody's around. Like that's the real test of a person. Can you do the right thing when nobody's watching? If you can do that, then you're really a good person. A lot of people kind of underestimate the value of just being a good person. Well, you don't really have to be a good person. You don't really have to push that shopping cart back. Nobody really cares if you do. Nobody really cares if you don't. But you're a good person if you go like, you know what? I'm gonna just go ahead and push this back. It don't make you the best person on earth. Like, that's not the only test, but yeah, y'all dig what I'm saying. Um, I'm strongly considering just going ahead and making my thing an every Friday thing instead of an every Tuesday thing. Cause y'all, let me tell you, it's just rough getting it in gear during a school year. The kids drain you, man, and you don't really understand how drained you are until you get home and you just pass out. And you go like, dang, I just fell asleep for half an hour. Didn't even realize it. Or maybe it's because I'm getting old. The birthday was last Friday. Couldn't really do it big because when I say we've been snowed in, let me tell you, we've been snowed in. True story right here. True story. When it first started snowing, the wife and myself, we took a ruler and we stuck it in the ground. And we was like, you know what? Let's see how high the snow gets. Cause we've seen some pretty big snows here in the Natty. We had one when our oldest kids were like, I think maybe two or three. It was crazy. It was so much snow. You could see it in the pictures that we took. You could see the snow literally falling in the pics. Like it was super big flakes. So we're not strangers to snow. We get a lot of snow. But we were like, you know what? They're talking apocalyptic type snow. Let's see what it is. So we stuck just a regular 12-inch ruler, stuck it in the ground. We take a look the next morning, y'all. Looky here. It was up to the 6, and it kept snowing. And by the time the night ended, it was up to the 10. That's where it was. It's been a week, about a week and a half. It's still at the 10 in the backyard. The snow is still in the same place. It's been freezing cold. I mean, you hop in the whip and the car says -3, and you start driving and everything warmed up. You warm in the car and the car says -4. It dropped a degree. It's been crazy. We were out of school for an entire week. So the week of my birthday, no school for the whole week. It was glorious. We ran around the house, just kicked it, playing around. No snow fights. The kids was like, it's too cold for this nonsense. So being snowed in on the B day, you kind of start reflecting a little bit when the kids aren't bothering you, or you don't have snow to shovel or salt to put down or whatever. You start kind of thinking about things, and you know, getting up there in the years, pushing through mid-decade 4 or whatever. And it's like, you're kind of in a space where you feel like you've done a lot, but you feel like there's more to do. And I feel like that's where I am right now. I feel like looking back from, you know, when I started as a youngin' and seeing how far I've come, you kind of look back and you go like, man, I really did that. I really got married, had the kids. I really got a undergrad degree, got a grad degree, actually have a career. And there have been some amazing highs in life, and there have been some devastating lows in life. And, I don't think that makes me any different from anybody else. I feel like you kind of grow through what you go through. I mean, if I can use that phrase. But, you're kind of looking back and, I guess I'm a different type of guy. I don't really look back and go like, man, I wish I could be that young. Nah, I feel like that was what I had to go through, all that stuff, to make this next, hopefully 4 or 5 decades, extra, extra cool. And anybody that says they don't have growing to do is insane, because I feel like you can always learn from everybody that's around you. I mean, the kids in my class teach me so much. They keep me young, they keep me hip, and they give me a very different perspective on life than I think the normal middle-aged person has. You you really appreciate the mistakes that you make, and you understand that you're gonna grow through those, and you kind of take people as they are. And I think kids, they give you that perspective, because for every group of kids that you teach, there's another one right behind them. And they're going to need all of you. They're going to need your respect. They're going to need your love. They're going to need your tough love. They're going to need all that. And you have to pull different parts of yourself out to do that. So I think that's really one of the great things about teaching. You you can't just show one part of yourself to a class, because every kid needs something different from you. Some of the kids may need your humor. Some of the kids may need you to be tough with them, because nobody's around to be tough with them, and that's what they need. Some kids kind of sort of need a soft touch because they get yelled at all the time. And if you start yelling at them, they just tune you out because they get that at home. Like, there's different parts of you that need to be utilized every single day. And if you take that energy and bring it home, the positive stuff, you can kind of create a dope environment around you. And I feel like I'm tapping into that as I get a little older. So I always tell people I'm not getting older, I'm getting better. So this is all the stuff I've been thinking as I've been shoveling snow. It's like the snow won't stop. Every time we think the snow is over, it just snows more. Like, what the hell? Like, I don't get it. It's absolutely insane. I do have to say I'm one of the few adults that were that was super happy to see the snow falling. I have people, I have friends, I hear my parents, like the parents of the kids in my class, they're joking around with me, and when we have meetings and stuff, saying things like, "Can y'all just have school? Get my kid out the house. I can't take it." And I'm like, you know what? You're gonna have to. I told the parents that, I'm like, you know what? I'm living good. Like, this is when you get into like the perks of being a teacher. And I won't lie, they're few and far between. You know, I've never said that I just hate teaching, because I don't. If I hated teaching, I would do something else. I tell the kids this all the time. Like, I know you get tired of us. I'm like, look, if I got tired of you, I just wouldn't be here. I could do something else. I don't want to do anything else. I'd rather be here irritating your soul. That's funny to me. Come on, Mr. P. I'm like, you asked, right? But we had school off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had 6 straight days of school off. Man, I was living lavish. I forgot I had a job. I'm not even lying to you. I forgot I was gainfully employed till I finally saw we had to go back to school. I'm like, oh, I forgot we got to get back to the rat race. I know it's a lot of people that's Saudi out there. I'm not one of them. Now they're gonna pay us back. They're gonna get it back in spades, because we have many makeup days. We're one of the few districts in the country that don't have school on Mondays. So we're only in school Tuesday through Friday throughout the week anyway. Now we still have to go to school on Monday, but there are no kids there. That's for us to be able to plan and look at our data and use our data to make our lesson plans, which is actually very helpful, because you can't do that during the week. You're working during the week. So we got to make these days up. So we're going to have to come in on some Mondays. You won't hear me complaining, not even tripping, because this was blissful. Did a lot of thinking, did a smidge bit of drinking, and just kind of kicked it. Hey, thanks to everybody for the happy birthday wishes and all that. 100% appreciate that. And honestly, watched a lot of TV. Me and my TV just getting acquainted. Me and my phone just getting acquainted. Kicking it with the wife, watching funny movies and whatnot. And then I found out Shadur Sanders made the Pro Bowl. Now, I made a couple of jokes with y'all, because it was funny that somebody with 7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions made the Pro Bowl. It was funny, but people was in their feelings. The Pro Bowl don't mean nothing, man. I don't understand how people can even care about the Pro Bowl. My response was simple. Why do you care about the Pro Bowl that much? Like, are you serious? And this is the part that I hate about people and their feelings about the Pro Bowl and the All Star game for basketball and baseball. I'm looking like, check it out. This is an exhibition game. This game doesn't count. Why do you care so much about who's in the game? Now, I get it. It's supposed to be the best of the best. But you can never call something the best of the best if you're letting the fans vote for the starters. Let's be for real. If you're letting the fans vote for the people that should be in the game, where the best of the best get to play, do you really think you're going to get the best of the best every single time? No, you are not. Because what the fans do is very simple. They pick the people that they know, and they pick the people that they like the most. Even if they don't know anybody, they're just going to pick the people that they like. Well, I don't know none of these people, but I've heard of so and so. Boom, they get my vote. So unless you're going to make it where you have super knowledgeable people from basketball or baseball or football be the only people that pick, you should not be crying about the All Star game or the Pro Bowl. Now, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter. And what I mean is, hell, it doesn't matter. It may matter for some players and their bonuses and whatnot, but how does that affect you? Why do you care if these rich people get richer? Sit back, enjoy the game. I wish they would tackle in the Pro Bowl. I wish they would play tackle. You know why? Because that way everybody that's actually a part of the Pro Bowl gets to play in the Pro Bowl. I don't care if they played tackle football and didn't even tackle. If they just held them for like 4 or 5 seconds and made that a tackle, that's perfectly fine. Who wants to get hurt in a Pro Bowl? Are you serious? I still remember back in the day, Robert Edwards was a really good running back for the New England Patriots, and he messed up his leg when they were doing like a beach flag football thing. He really jacked up his leg. You know how bad he had to feel that he got hurt just having fun? Why? And he wasn't even putting himself in like real danger. That was just like a fluke thing that happened. It wasn't like he was being negligible. He wasn't being like out here reckless. It was a fluke accident. Fluke accidents happen all of the time when you're talking about football. So why put yourself through that? That's why I'm cool with flag football and them playing flag football as their reward for making the Pro Bowl, I guess. I thought it was actually fun watching the teams play flag football. I mean, it looks like regular football. They're not tackling, but they can still show their skills. The defensive players, the defensive backs and whatnot, they can still make excellent plays. It's a wide open field. You can't tell me you watched that game and didn't have fun watching it. It was cool. Nobody cares about the final score. I thought it was cool to watch Jamar Chase play defense. I thought it was super dope that the Cincinnati Bengals had two quarterbacks in the Pro Bowl. I mean, it's kind of messed up that they did because Burrow had to get hurt for it to happen. But I thought it was cool that Flacco made the Pro Bowl. I thought it was cool that Shador Sanders made the Pro Bowl because people actually watched it to see how he did. Stop caring so much about these games. For real. Everybody goes like, hey man, in the 80s, they really cared about the All Star game. No, they didn't. I mean, they wanted to win, but they wanted to win in the same way where you go to the park with your friend and you and your friend can put on opposite teams. You want to beat your friend because you want bragging rights. But if you lose, are you really going to be butthurt about it? Nah, you'll be butthurt when your friend go like, "Hey, we popped y'all, man. It was 16-4. You only scored two. I scored eight." You'll be butthurt about that. You want to play again, but in the grand scheme of things, y'all don't care that much. That's the All Star Game experience. Stop caring so much about the All Star Game. Enjoy it. It's supposed to be a free flowing game where there's a whole lot of offense, a little bit of defense in the final third of the game, and then everybody goes home and talks about the great plays they saw. That's what it's about. You really want somebody playing defense in the basketball All Star game? You really want somebody tackling hard in the Pro Bowl? Make it make sense. All in all, a fun time was had watching the Pro Bowl. I was surprised at how fun it was. They're actually making people watch the Pro Bowl. Now, if you're asking us like, is it a great exhibition of football? No. But is the preseason a great exhibition of football? No. But everybody understands people are just getting a little bit of run. So just take it as it comes. That's what it is. That's all it is. So, hold on, let me climb down off this high horse. Hold on. Give me a second. There we go. All right. So we're off the high horse. See what I did there? All right. So now before we roll out, let's go ahead and jump into another teacher movie deep dive. Um, I've heard some people, they're like, you've done movies that we all know. Are there any teacher movies that I might not know about that I may want to give a look, blah, that I may want to give a look see? And I was like, you know what? There's a teacher movie that I've only seen one time, and I remember like most of it because it was surprisingly good. Now, at first, I thought it was a little bit cheesy, and I couldn't remember if it was cheesy or if I was just tripping. So, I actually watched the entire movie over again, and I got some stuff. So, the name of the movie is Hard Lessons, the George McKenna story. Now, follow me because this takes place in the 80s. This movie came out in 1986, and it stars somebody that you might know. Yeah. So, let me get out the notes. Okay, so based on a true story, this made for TV biographical drama stars a young Denzel Washington. And when I say young, I mean young, y'all. Like baby looking Denzel as George McKenna. So in the mid 80s, George McKenna takes on the role of principal at George Washington Prep High School in South Los Angeles. And the school is overrun by gang violence, faculty apathy, and crumbling academic standards. Yeah, I use faculty apathy because I could have just said it was like the faculty just didn't care, but the the ways that they didn't care was wild. I had to use apathy. So, McKenna just doesn't walk into his office to start his first day. He walks into a real life war zone. The school is fenced in by turf, and the hallways are controlled by the gangs rather than the teachers. There's a scene in the beginning of the movie where they go into the court, the middle of the court, where they eat lunch and stuff like that. And one of the teachers tells Mr. McKenna, like, we're not allowed to be out here. This is controlled by the gangs. And McKenna looks at him like, did you just say it's controlled by the gangs and not the teachers? He's like, yeah, they don't like us out here. Blew me. As a teacher, I'm like, whoa, there's no way I'm walking into a space and y'all gonna tell me the kids control it. You're out your mind. So, McKenna uses a no nonsense policy, but it wasn't like Joe Clark in Lean on Me. It wasn't like that. It was more no nonsense, but I'm listening to you. And if you have feedback, let me know. I thought it was pretty dope, but it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way at first. There's this fence that's next to the school, and all the gang members are putting their tags on it, stuff like that. George McKenna paints over the fence. He has like some of his football players, and they're like, "You sure we should be doing this?" And he's like, "Look, we're gonna do it. If you with me, you with me. If you not, then you're gonna wish you were when we change the school around." And they're like, "You know what? Okay." He paints the fence. The teachers are telling Mr. McKenna, like, "Look, they're just gonna repaint it again." And of course, they just paint over it again. He walks back out there. He starts painting it again. He did this at least 8 times, y'all. They kept painting over it, and he's like, "I hope y'all got a lot of paint." And he was about that. That was like one of the times where you kind of go like, "Yeah, he's not playing games. Like he really wants to change some stuff." He paints over the graffiti and he enforces a strict dress code. Now nowadays everybody wears uniforms. Our school wears uniforms. I don't know too many schools that don't have a uniform policy. He decides to implement a dress code policy and he demands that the teachers actually teach. In one of the beginning scenes, there's a student and he's upset because they're watching a movie that he saw in the fourth grade and the fifth grade and the sixth grade and the seventh grade. And he's an 11th grader now. And he's like, I'm tired of watching the same movie. I know George Washington crossed this river. I know what happens. Can you teach me something else? And then the teacher gets upset because he feels like he's being disrespected in front of the class. And he's like, dude, you can't come at me like that in front of the class. And the kid is like, man, I'm just trying to learn something different. I'm sick of this. That's how it was at the school. They're like, you're going to learn our way. He started bringing in teachers that was like, my job is to teach you the way you want to be taught. Well, not the way you want to be taught, but the way that you learn best. And if you need something different, they're going to provide you something different. It was actually pretty dope. He really came in to make a difference. But there's always conflict in these movies, especially if it's a true story. So, there's three sides. You have the gangs. They feel like McKenna's trying to do too much on their territory. You have the parents who are just they're just apathetic at this point. They're like nothing's going to change. We hear the same thing from every single principal and then they leave in 10 months. I've heard that a lot in my teaching career. And then you have the veteran teachers who are just burnt out and they're like, look, just leave me alone and do my thing. You don't care, the teachers don't care, the kids don't care. I'm about to get to this money. So, if you're a principal or a teacher that gives a crap, these are really difficult things to overcome. So, through basically just sheer you can call it determination, you can call it bullheadedness, you can call it all of that. So through all of this, and I'm not gonna lie, an awesome performance that by Denzel Washington. Like it's a very good performance. McKenna transformed the school into a place where 80% of the graduates go on to college. You heard that right. 80% of the graduates go on to college. And he ended up proving that just because you live in an environment that's tough, it doesn't mean you can't make it to the places you want to be. There were so many different threads of this movie. You had kids being bused to other school districts that lived right across the street from the school because they're like, this school is too chaotic. I can't go here. And he started getting those kids to come back when he showed how much he cared about the school. You had teachers that started buying in because they're like, look, he's not quitting. He really gives a crap about this. So maybe if I hop on the board, this will work out well. And then you have his girlfriend who's like, I see what you're trying to do, but they're taking you away from me. And she had to make some real choices. Like, I dig what you're doing, but this isn't working for me. This isn't my goal. This is yours. And I'm losing myself in what you're doing. And his girlfriend slash fiance is played by Lynn Whitfield, who was also just awesome as an actress and had a dynamic performance as well. So there's all different types of threads going on in the movie that made it awesome to watch. And honestly, if you're a fan of the pod or if you're just a fan of sports or anything like that, this is like the ultimate coach story. It's just in the classroom. You know what I mean? It's one of those where he proved that if you just keep kind of going at it at your pace, you'll get there. But you're gonna have to sacrifice some stuff. And y'all know me in these teacher movies. I hate the teacher movies where it's like everyone succeeded and everything is great. Because if you're a real teacher, you know it's not like that. The more you give to your school, the less you're giving to the people around you. And this movie really touched on that because the more he gave, the less he had to give. And as teachers, that balance is real, y'all. Like it's really real. I really have to kind of watch how much I give and how much time I give to my school and my family because I was coaching for a while and it seemed like the better I did as a coach, the harder it was to tap in at home because I'd be gone for long hours and the wife she has her job but then she's here with the kids and things like that and it gets really rough and you have to make some tough decisions. Early Denzel Washington was an awesome watch, y'all. Like you could see why he was so good in Training Day and Malcolm X and stuff like that, because the same intensity he had in those roles, he had in this. And this is when nobody knew him. This is how good the movie was. It was a made for TV movie. The movie came out in 1984. Denzel Washington blew up so much when he did Glory and stuff like that that they re-released it in 1986 and titled it Hard Lessons. At first, it was just the George McKenna story. This blew me away when I found this out. Like they re-released it. It was that dope. Um, George McKenna is actually in the movie. He's in like the final scene of the movie. He gives the closing narration. He details the actual improvements. And when you hear about his story, like his story is just dope. He's like the quintessential teacher. We'll get into that in a second. Let's see. The music. Now, you've heard the 80s music in the movies. Like it it gets super weird and super cringy. I found myself actually kind of sort of grooving to the music in this, like dun, 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 dun. I'm like, okay. And I figured out why when I did some research. Well, actually, when I watched the credits, Herbie Hancock did the score for the movie, and Herbie Hancock is a legend. He's like a beat making legend. So I was kind of wondering, like, why am I grooving to the music like this? Now it's a little cheesy because it's mid '80s music, but it's actually a bop though. You'll kind of like it. Now the film was directed by Eric Loneville. Um, quick connection for him. Him and Denzel Washington worked together on the drama Saint Elsewhere way back in the day. That's one of those shows where like my mom and my aunt used to watch it and we was like, can y'all just stop so we can play our Nintendo? And it was all like shut up until we finished. But they was always fiending to see Denzel on the television back then. So there's like a very emotional moment in the movie where this one basketball player that Mr. McKenna was, trying to, help read and stuff like that. He gets shot and he gets killed. That was a real event. In the movie, it happened on campus. The movie they got to kind of hype it up, but in reality, it happened kind of just off of school grounds. But it happened the same way. Mr. McKenna's holding the kid as he passes away, and he stated in interviews that this is one of the toughest moments of his actual life to get through. And then putting it in the movie, I'm pretty sure it was a trigger for him. But it's one of those things where I'm not sure why they didn't just show it the way it actually happened, but either way, that happening is it had to be a pretty traumatic experience. Now, in real life, George McKenna, he really criticized not the movie, but the way the media pumped up the success. He argued that the media only covers planes that crash, and by calling his success abnormal, they're implying that black and brown students failing was normal. So this whole philosophy drove his zero tolerance for dropouts policy. Um, I feel like his words and my words mesh together a lot because I came from an environment where it wasn't abnormal to see kids succeed. In fact, it was quite normal. It was what was supposed to happen. And when it happened, everyone was excited that it happened, but it was like, we're on to the next step. You were expected to succeed. People didn't just poo poo it when you did succeed, but they were very surprised that you failed. That was the environment I grew up in. It was like, it was expected for me to do well academically. There wasn't really a choice for me not to do well. And that's what Mr. McKenna is saying. He's more like, I expect my black and brown kids to succeed. The fact that you don't expect them to succeed kind of pisses me off a little bit. And I agree with that 100%. I do have a hot take. And I don't know how hot this is. I feel like if you're a teacher, you feel me. But nowadays, that's kind of twisted. I mean, everybody likes a hero story, right? And I feel like Denzel delivered one for the ages in this. Like he was really good. But the real talk is George McKenna, he was more like a coach. He wasn't just a principal, he built a culture. In every school I've been in that was worth a damn, the teacher built a culture and the principal reinforced that culture. So really the hot take is people talk about safe spaces and student led learning, but McKenna's success, it wasn't really that. It was really more of, you would call it an aggressive accountability. I would call it that. In sports, everybody's accountable for their job. You do your job. And if everybody does their every does what the hell? And if everybody does their job, the team is successful. And Mr. McKenna felt like that. He's like, I'm not waiting for a budget increase. I'm not waiting for a school board initiative. I'm getting a paintbrush and I'm painting this myself. I'm not waiting for you. Like, I'm picking up a microphone and I'm telling the community, y'all need to get out here. Y'all need to help me. You can't just blame the school. You got to be a part of this too. We'll do our part. You got to do your part. And I feel like we view strictness as the negative. You know, you don't want to be the strict teacher, you don't want to be the strict principal. But we've seen time and time again that it's not really being strict. It's like I have a standard. McKenna has a standard. I have a standard in my class. And if I lower my standard, how am I respecting you? It's not respectful for me to lower my standard because I need to quote unquote reach your level. You need to reach my level. And I'm looking at you and I'm like, this is my level. And I'm not saying you can't hit this level, so I'm about to lower it. I'm like, this is my level. I'm going to help you reach this level. And when I help you reach this level, you're going to help somebody else reach this level. The bar doesn't get lowered just because people say you can't learn or you've never been able to learn. We keep the bar the same and we help you get to the bar. We don't push you down, we push you up. And I think my hot take is that's not school anymore. Like, it's not. Like, we hear so much about, you have to teach the whole child and stuff like that. And we all grew up at a time where the standards were just higher. And I've always learned that if you lower the standards, that's what you're going to get. If I treat you like a C student, guess what? You're going to be a C student, maybe a B student, maybe a D student. But if I make it like you have to get an A, we're making you get ready for college. Kids are going to reach that level or they're going to break their backs trying to reach that level. My hot take is that simple. I feel like McKenna was too much for the modern system. And it's really messed up that he is. You watch the movie and you tell me what you think. Was McKenna too much or is the modern system too little? If you're asking me, I feel like the modern system is too little. And myself and I know a lot of other teachers that are kind of like me, here's the standard. Reach the standard. Oh, Mr. P, I don't know how to do that. Guess what? I'm a teacher. I'm here to help you. But I'm not about to go like, okay, you can't do pre-algebra. You're not gonna be able to do it. So let's go ahead and lower the. Nah, forget that. You can't do pre-algebra. So we're gonna help you little by little until you can. Let me get off my soapbox real quick. Overall, I felt like this was a really good movie. One of the best teacher movies I've seen. It is up there with some of the best. Like, for real, it really is. If you get a chance, check it out. It is on Netflix. Yep, I watched the whole thing on Netflix. I give it a 9 out of 10. It was a really good movie, and Denzel's performance is breathtaking, man. It really is. He did his thing on this. It's easy to see how he's had such a long career when he can take a movie like made for TV and make it so good that they had to re-release it. It was a good movie. All right, y'all. I got to get out of here. I got to go ahead and start the weekend. So I think we can go ahead and start doing this every Friday. So I got to change some bumper music, stuff like that. We're going to do this every Friday, at least until the summertime, where I got a whole lot more time to do what I do. Um, Let me know what you think. We building the YouTube channel slowly but surely. I'll drop the link when it's ready. You can go ahead and start listening on YouTube. You can catch me on all the other places where you can catch podcasts. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, all that nonsense. Let's get the music going because we are out of here. Um, Not really go Patriots or go Saints. Like what? Go Patriots or go Seahawks. I mean, I don't really care who wins. Overall, I think the Seahawks will get it, but I don't care. Go Bengals. Right. Just go ahead and hit me with the fader. I'll catch y'all next week, man. Life is good.